I was wondering what the most common mistakes are that us blokes make having children too early.
On one side, I can understand that, if you have kids too early, it might limit your ability to set them up in the future.
It's a give or take. Once you have kids, they're in your life, you're going to love them. It's awesome. But in retrospect to people reflecting back, maybe think about when you're having kids rather than having a little accident.
Guys shouldn't wait till the walls are literally falling down to try and rebuild that fucking house. You need to put some things in place to actually do the maintenance on yourself and what you're doing before the walls start crumbling, because you're pushing shit uphill essentially.
If you find yourself at 35 and you're still doing that job, bartender, barista, you are not even going to be able to make ends meet.
So what would you say to those guys like myself? 34, don't have a qualification. This is my biggest mistake. Where do I go from here?
Welcome to the Better Bloke podcast. I'm Matty.
I'm Rob.
And we're just a pair of average blokes on a mission to try and be a little bit less average.
We're going to speak about all things highs and lows of what it feels like to be a bloke, plus speak to some legends along the way about what it takes to be a better bloke. Let's get stuck in. Welcome back to the Better Bloke Project podcast, where today we're going to dive into all things blokes advice and discuss the last month of blokes advice, including, wait till the end, Bloke of the Week, which is a regular segment that we're going to start dropping just to try and involve the community a little bit more, because that's what we're about. We're about community.
Love the community. And we did the episode maybe a month or so ago where we dived into some of the stuff happening inside this private group. The boys loved it, so we're bringing it back and, I don't know, having a chat, discussing some of the best bits. So I want to rip it off with a poll that went up. We love a good poll.
Wait, before we go into the poll, was this an open poll or a closed poll?
It was an open poll.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So open polls are always the best kind because it gets ridiculous. But the core message, what this guy was asking was, it was good and a lot of points of discussion. So let me pull it up and we'll have a little read. This guy said, I was wondering what the most common mistakes are that us blokes make and thought of a few myself. Feel free to add them and vote.
Yeah, okay. So this could get wild. What were some of the responses?
So all the top ones were sort of like real genuine things that people have reflected on. Maybe they're in their 30s or 40s and they're like, look, this is the one thing that I'm kind of like recognize as a mistake in my life. So I think the most common one actually was hitting 30 without an income or financial means in place.
Yes and no. I mean, you need some sort of income at 30 or else you're homeless.
That's fair. They went on, obviously discussed it in the comments. What I think people meant by this, and they said they did, was, an actual career of some description, or they're not talking about having a couple $100,000 in the bank, but maybe the ability to earn, the ability to have a trade behind them or some sort of education or qualification, and they don't just hit 30 and they're like, shit, I'm still being a barista.
So some sort of skill that gives them financial stability.
Yeah.
Essentially.
I mean, that was the number one, right? So this is something that a lot of guys are facing. And especially now we're feeling the pinch with the economy, tightening up. It's hard to pay for shit. No one's got enough money, even if you have a proper job.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel that a lot. And it's not getting any easier anytime soon from what I've been reading. It's only going to get tougher. But it's like, if someone's got qualifications and a skill set that gives them that career, yet everyone else is still feeling the pinch, why is there so much of a, emphasis on like, I need this or else I'm a failure? Because you're gonna feel failure even if you've got that now. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but if you're in a job, and no disrespect to the boys that don't have that, but if you find yourself at 35 and you're still doing that job, insert bartender, barista, that an 18-year-old can do, your earning capacity is so low, you are not even going to be able to make ends meet. Like, you can feel the pinch being a qualified tradie still, unless you're an electrician and you're just like rolling in it. But they're clearly getting into their 30s going like, I have fucked up here. This is a mistake I made and I regret it.
So what would you say to those guys that are listening? Just say, like myself, 34, don't have a qualification. I've just posted in Blokes Advice going, fuck guys, this is my biggest mistake. Where do I go from here?
Oh, it's never too late to start, is it?
Spot on. 100%.
So yeah, all you can do is start from today and start working towards something, right?
Best time to plant a tree was yesterday. Do you know when the second best time was?
Today.
That's it.
I think it's a Chinese proverb, and the best time was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And this,
Like when you should have bought a house. Oh, shit. Sorry, I didn't buy a house when I was 14.
yeah, so that's it. Like, get started now. That's all you can do.
Yeah.
And no disrespect to any of the boys that are finding themselves in that position. It's about taking a hard look at yourself, being like, okay, I recognize that makes me feel kind of shit. Do something.
Yeah. I think, and that's something that we've been trying to promote the entire way through the Better Bloke project is it's all well and good to self-reflect and go like, shit, okay, yeah, I've messed up here, but you need to fucking do something about it. Like, you can't just go, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. You need to actually fucking do it.
Moving through this poll list, because there's a lot of variance in what people are having their mistakes as being. Another one, which was very popular, is having children too early, which no one likes to say they regret having their kids, but having kids too early has made the list of things that people said was a bit of a mistake.
Yeah, see, I think we'd have very conflicting views on this. Because on one side, I can understand that, yeah, if you have kids too early, it might limit your ability to obviously set them up in the future. But at the same time, you're then young enough to be able to sort of do the fun stuff with your kids. So I don't think you can. I mean, you can have kids too early if you're still a teenager. You're not really mature yourself, are you?
I wouldn't say you're mature at 23, but you're going to figure it out probably.
I definitely wasn't mature at 25 when I had my first.
It probably leads into that other point as well. That's what I've seen. A lot of the boys that had kids when we were 20, you know, I've had sort of 10 years of growth and doing my own thing and getting myself into a different position. They now have almost teenagers. They're like looking down the barrel of these kids leaving home in the next decade, but they haven't had that 10 years of career growth, getting the house, doing all those sort of things. And they're lacking on that side. Of course, I'm lacking completely on the side of having a family. So it's a give or take. Once you have kids, they're in your life, you're going to love them. It's awesome. But in retrospect to people reflecting back, maybe think about when you're having kids rather than having a little accident.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that it probably leads into maybe practicing safe sex if you're not ready to have kids.
I was going to say it leads into the who with.
Also the who, yes.
The who with has been a problem for the blokes of blokes advice.
Yep. Not for all of them. There is, like, we do get a lot of love on a lot of guys promoting sort of the fact that they have picked the right partner. But yeah, that's definitely it's a common trait that there is a lot of boys that didn't pick the right partner.
Our man David Ongi, one of the main admin boys who dishes out the best advice, the way he talks about semen is beautiful.
Is it?
He calls it liquid gold. It is your most valuable asset. He says, retain that semen. Just don't go giving out. It's all you have and it's everything you have.
Well, like that liquid gold that's your like next generation.
It's your next generation, but it's also
your undoing. It could be your undoing.
It could fuck you up.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, shit. When you put it that way, like your semen has a shit ton of value, doesn't it?
Incredible amounts. And it has the ability to break you.
But it also has the ability to make you, though. Like my kids are, without a doubt, my greatest accomplishment. And there will never be another accomplishment that I will ever do that will be as much of a highlight as that.
What if we get like a 100K plaque or something? Heaps of subscribers?
No.
Yeah, fair enough.
Deal. Right, what's next?
It was a bloke's advice post, so not wanting milk that tastes like real milk.
Yep. What about a succulent Chinese meal? Did that pop up in it?
There's, oh God, like
hundreds of
responses. There's hundreds of responses.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's always going to be a bit of an issue. Option 3 was option 3.
Yep. Okay. So option 3 was actually just option 3 written.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And that got a big response?
Yeah, it was up there, surprisingly.
Cool.
Taking advice from those who haven't achieved anything.
I like this. This is something that your boy Hermosi speaks about a fair bit, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That, it's like surrounding yourself with who you wish to be like and lean on those.
Yeah.
You're big for that.
Yeah, big time. Don't take advice from someone that isn't where you're trying to be.
Yep.
Even if they're successful in their own right, or even if they're doing great and they're happy in their own right, their life isn't your life. So they can tell you how to live their life. They can't tell you how to live yours. And if where they are is not where you want to go, they can't give you the advice.
See, I'm big on that whole, like, similar to what you just said. Don't take advice from someone. No, don't take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from. Where, bit of a play on what you said, but
It's much the same thing.
yeah.
And this is it's an interesting one that I think everyone sort of has to face with their parents, because, most people love and respect their parents and all that sort of stuff. But
One of them I do.
one of them, yeah.
Jump back a few episodes to see that one if
Gets
you want to
me.
find out more.
It gets me every time. But we live in a different world. We're up against different things.
Yep.
And the way our parents did things are not how we do things. And it's really hard to look at it and say that your parents are wrong and you're not taking their advice.
See, even in that regard, though, even if I'm getting advice from someone, from anyone, because as much as we dish out advice to people, there is so much that I get from reading other people's advice in BA that I'm constantly learning from. It's not something that I'm going to go like, oh, shit, that doesn't suit me. Take everything on board and just take bits and pieces out of it that will actually suit your lifestyle or your own journey, because everyone's journey is so different. You could be on the same path, but you've got different obstacles.
Bloke's advice is beautiful for that, is seeing everyone's advice and being able to form like a big picture. Everyone thinks a little bit differently, and being able to kind of massage a painting to give you an idea of what to do next. But we're talking about taking advice from someone directly. This person says you should do investment properties because it did well for them. That doesn't necessarily mean it's right for you. It worked for them. Don't know. Much could be said about, I don't know, has your mum ever tried to give you financial advice?
No.
It's a terrible idea. Very different world when they could buy houses for 100 grand.
Yep.
So that's, I don't know, that probably rounds out the taking advice from people.
It does. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's just one of those things that everyone's circumstances are so different as to what they're actually going through. Take it on board, but at the end of the day, it may not work out for you the same way it's worked out for them.
This is a good one. It's blaming the world for your poor choices.
It's a lot easier to blame everyone else for your own actions.
What's that word?
Accountability.
Our favorite.
It's definitely up there. We use it enough.
Yeah. Yeah. And as blokes, unfortunately, a lot of us are fuckwits in our early 20s. Put it bluntly, we do dumb shit. We make bad decisions. As we grow into men, there's a hell of a learning curve that we have to go through.
I wouldn't even say it's just in our early 20s. Like, I know so many blokes that are like our age in our early 30s that still fuckwits.
It's true. I think there's a stage where, a boy turns into a man. And that doesn't mean we stop having fun and we stop being stupid and having a laugh and all that ridiculous stuff. But it's when we start learning how to conduct ourselves a little bit better, being able to have a bit of self-awareness. It switched on in my brain a couple of years ago, like actual self-awareness.
Yeah.
And I'm like it hit me. I realized I started doing this thing. And I don't know why it happened. It just came with age, whatever. But until that happens, and for some blokes, unfortunately, it happens real late / it doesn't.
Yeah, I know a lot of older blokes that it still hasn't happened. But then also I know a lot of blokes that it happened real early. But I think it's just situational. Because then when you get them around the boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys, but you got to let loose.
It is very 100%. It's very, very important that you can't be like just serious. You need to let your hair down, even if you don't fucking have any. It's, yeah, let boys be boys.
We do see a lot of posts in the group of guys pretty much complaining. Like, oh, boo-hoo, I had this terrible thing happen. And a lot of the time, they have had something bad happen.
Yep.
A lot of the time,
It's their own
or
doing.
at least some of the time, it is their own doing, which leads me to a completely different post.
Yep.
It's not about this poll. The wife's talking about leaving, boys. Mostly my fault, gambling, bags, etc. I got beautiful teenage daughters, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
The black dog is chasing. He feels terrible. And I mean, it says in the post, he knew what he was doing. Like it 100% is a consequence to his actions and behaviors over a long time. So what did he expect?
That's true. Well, we had this conversation with Mark Orville, aka Angry Dad. I'm not sure how many episodes ago now, but definitely jump back through and have a bit of a look. Something that he spoke about was his catalyst to actually going out and getting change was that he was about to lose it all. And for so long, he was getting told, you need to change, you need to change, you need to change. And it wasn't until he was about to lose fucking everything, the missus, the kids, and all that, that he went, shit, something's clicked. I'm going to go out and make that change now. And a lot of the time for blokes, like you said, we're fuckwits. We are very, very dumb. It's not until we lose everything that we have that's going to make us want to change. We won't do it for ourselves. We won't do it for the ones we love and all that sort of thing. It's just, guys are fucking idiots. I'm the first to admit that, and I'm a guy.
Yeah, I've been through it. And it isn't until it becomes real that you're going to lose everything.
Yep.
That you're like, click, I need to change something. And the problem is,
It's usually too late.
It's usually too late. So I can't speak for this guy. I don't know his life, but he said 15 years together or something like that.
Yep.
And he's got all these problems. And you know that it didn't come out of nowhere. This has been happening. I'm sure she's been complaining for a long time. It's not even complaining. She's just saying, be the man. And he's ignored it. He's kind of made his bed. And now he's got to be accountable to sleep in that, deal with that. Maybe there is amends to be made. Maybe there's not. But even if he kind of loses a marriage and it's going to be difficult with the kids and all that sort of stuff, it doesn't mean there's not a way forward and that it can't be better.
There is always a way forward.
Always a way forward.
It's
for
just
sure.
whether or not that forward is in that same direction. So it might shoot you off on another pathway that the momentum that you want to take is always forward. Especially if he's battling all these things with everything that he mentioned is very much down that path of things that would be associated with addiction. So a lot of guys can't do that addiction battle by themselves. And that's where it comes to talking to boys, reaching out like that guy did to actually find the right means to be able to do it. But yeah, it just sucks that he's probably left it until it's right at its breaking point. We've said it time and time again. Guys shouldn't wait till the walls are literally falling down to try and rebuild that fucking house. You need to put some things in place to actually do the maintenance on yourself and what you're doing before the walls start crumbling, because you're pushing shit uphill essentially.
Recognizing what is a problem before it becomes too much of a problem.
Yep.
If your wife is sitting there telling you you're drinking too much, you're gambling too much, there's a problem with anything, your weight's a problem, it's porn, it's any number of issues that guys have these problems with, it's not always nagging and it's not always her just trying to have a go. Have a look at it and be like, is it a problem? Because if you ignore it and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, it's going to be a big problem. So
It could be nagging though too.
could be nagging. They do that.
Women love to nag. Usually there is a catalyst to what they're nagging about. So
Yeah, self-reflection. Self-reflection is a very, very important thing.
Another one that came up in that poll, and we haven't spoken about it, but it's a massive part of my life, and I think a reason why, I don't know, I view the world in kind of the way that I do.
Shit shoes.
Shit shoes.
Yeah.
This is fire,
Nah,
boy.
they are. You're actually bringing some heat with your shoe game, so I'm proud of you for that.
Traveling.
Traveling, yes. You love traveling.
I love travel. Some boys mentioned on that post that one of the mistakes they made was not traveling enough, especially during their 30s before they had all these commitments and things to do. I like to get about.
Yep.
I'll jump on a plane and go see the world. I go to some pretty crazy, weird places. I was lucky enough to do it for work. A lot of the travel in the last sort of 6 or 7 years, so that definitely helped with the bill. But I've told many people, even way before this project, that they need to get themselves to some of these like third world countries, go to Southeast Asia, go into places to get a different perspective on your own life.
Like Gympie.
I'm not talking about Bali.
I mean, Southeast Asia.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, but I'm not talking about that part. I'm talking about like getting out in the villages, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So people sit here and they complain about shit. I was over in the Philippines or something once, and then I was reading a news article about Melbourne complaining that the stop signs with the walking arrows, they wanted to change half of them to female, so it wasn't just men on the traffic signals. And I'm sitting here going like, what the hell is going on in Australia if that's the problem? It's going to cost millions of dollars to change these signs. For what? These people don't have houses. These people are trying to feed their babies. Like, the perspective travel gives is something I think everyone needs to do it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of travel. I don't do much of it anymore. The kids sort of make that a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But at the same time, travel is something I want to do when the little one gets old enough, because I now see it from a perspective that I know how important travel is and seeing the world like that, that I then want to give my kids an opportunity to be able to do that. So, yeah, I mean, Hemi's been to Bali.
Sorry, I discounted that at the start.
No, see, I think Bali's a funny one, because we spent a day where we went up into the village and like spent it with our driver's family. So we went to his village and we did all the normal stuff that he did, and it was unreal. Like, we actually got to see the culture of what happens, not just, yeah, let's go hang out at Finn's and all that sort of shit. Like,
Yeah, I'm not saying it's like no good.
no, but no one, unless you're actually going there to see that side of it, the general populace is not going to go up into the mountains and go to someone's village and see their pig farm and eat fresh made sausages.
Yeah, it's just wild to see how other people live.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, crazy. This segues across into the next little bit of traveling we're doing, where we are taking Hemi somewhere kind of like Bali in a way.
There is so many similarities between this place and Bali.
Blokes of Us is going to Summernats 2025.
We sure are.
So we were there this year.
Yep.
It was unreal. It was before we went public with the Better Bloke project. We had it sort of sitting in the government
Inbox,
waiting. Anyway,
thank you, government. Really
we're heading down to Canberra. Hemi's coming with us.
He is coming
We've
with
got
us.
a few of the other boys coming too. We're going in as Better Bloke and Blokes Advice, and it's the biggest burnout festival in Australia.
Yep. It is.
Tell us about it. You're the car guy.
Summer Nuts. So it's a combination of every event throughout the year, all rolled into one, and it's just cars, culture, community. It's everyone getting around each other until it gets a little bit later in the night, then it gets a little bit wild. But it's essentially everyone just doing skids. Everyone doing skids, showing off their hard work over the year, building their cars and drinking Jack Daniel's slushies.
This year's event was really cool, and in a way that we didn't expect it to be, because we're talking mullets, burnouts, and beers.
Yep.
Rough and tough Aussie blokes building the toughest cars and having a good time. It seems like not the place people will come up to us and start talking about what we talk about on the mental health front.
And how wrong they would be, because that is not what happened. They came up and they spoke to us because we were in that environment. And that's our scene. And that's why we're going so hard into what we're doing. I think the fact that we are leaning into this side of it, it's only going to strengthen everything that we're doing, because not that I would call someone's safe space. It could be. But it's where they feel comfortable. They can be themselves. They've worked towards that event all year round. A lot of people have actually saved up money all year to be able to go there, because it's not cheap to go. But it's a 3-day event. They usually camp there 4 days. 4-day event. So it's a 4-day event. They camp there. They just live their best life for that period of time. Yeah. So for a lot of people, that is their escape for the year. And for us to be in their own environment where it's safe, and if they want to come up and talk, they can talk.
I think it justifies what we're doing, or proves that what we're doing is right. Because that's what we said. Better Bloke Project is about representing these kind of guys. That was always the ethos. Take it from Bloke's advice, because we know how these guys talk and interact. So to go to a place like that, have those chats with those dudes, really shows the mission of what we're doing is hitting the right people. So I'm mostly excited for that.
That it's going to be fun.
It's going to be a good time.
There is already so many people that I've been speaking to that we've told that we're going there, and they're like, yeah, come to my marquee here. Come to my marquee here. So yeah, I think it's going to be a very, very fun time. And I am looking forward to catching up with so many of the boys that we've been speaking to since last year that are absolutely crushing it. So one of the guys drives your favourite style of car.
Yes. The Swifty.
The Swifty.
I think it's pushing almost 500 horsepower now.
Yep.
Converted to rear wheel drive. It's got a LS in it.
Look at you go.
All right.
It's a 9-inch.
9-inch power glide.
It's got a glide.
Power glide differential.
No.
Oh, I was doing so well.
It's a power glide trans.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, which is, you were close.
You said
it's a 9-inch diff.
9-inch diff.
Yeah.
I knew there was a power glide in there.
So, but he has built that thing purely just to have fun in it. And a lot of people see these kind of fun cars, and like I speak to Jack a little bit. I've got so much respect for him. He's a young bloke doing what he can to essentially fund his passion, which is doing skids for people. And he's got a big Bloke's Advice banner across the front of his car, and he loves it. And we try and promote him everywhere we can. But this is a bloke that's working 2 jobs to be able to do it. And everyone sees that car and they're like, oh, he must have money to do this. They don't see the effort that goes in behind what he's trying to do to fund his passion. So, yeah. Big shout out to Jack.
Yeah, I'm sure he won't mind us talking about him.
No, but I want to get Jack on and have a chat to him.
Yeah, definitely, Jack, come up. But people are like, holy shit, like, because he's cut this car in half. It's like crazy amount of work. And I've seen comments where people are like, wouldn't it be nice to have the money? This dude's like 23, something like that. He's driving taxis at nighttime on top of his other job just to get a little bit of money. It's self-funded. He's got like his brother or his...
It's a full family affair with building this car, so that everyone from his family works within the automotive scene. So
intensely just a passion project because he fucking loves it. And man, big props to him.
100% big props to Jack. Anyone that's got that amount of passion to grind as hard as he is to do what he's doing, all the props in the world. And that's why I have no issues in promoting Jack and saying get around Swifty, because he is such a good bloke.
I forgot to add one of the biggest mistakes people have made in their life.
What's that?
He said, don't take sleeping pills and laxatives at the same time.
Yeah, great shout. Don't do that.
Yeah, that's a problem.
No. So actually, it's probably a good segue after speaking about Swifty and the fact that we're going to Summer Nats to mention who our bloke of the week is.
That's an uncanny segue.
It is a really, really good segue.
Was not planned.
It wasn't. So leading into Christmas time, every single year we have... There's a handful of blokes that will put up the same post every single year from one guy that cruises up to the sunny coast every year and he has a few days out on his boat. So he offers to take members out fishing. He pays for everything. Every single year he goes, hey, I'm going to be here again this year. And this has happened, I think, for at least the last 5 or 6 years, like clockwork. To guys giving away their consoles for other kids, to guys just giving away gift cards. The Christmas spirit throughout Bloke's Advice pops off. This year took it to another level though. Segueing from Swifty, we had our Bloke of the Week, Mr. Michael, give away a Suzuki Swift on Bloke's Advice.
Yeah, in true Bloke's Advice fashion too. So he posted it up and he said, hey guys, I have this car, acting like it wasn't an awesome car. Swifts are great, fully serviced, new tyres, the whole works.
And it was manual. Big props to that. More boys should drive manual.
And he even specified, he's like, I want this to go to a young fella who's busting his guts, but he's struggling to get that first step, that leg up. He wanted to help that kind of guy. He said, I don't want anyone taking the piss. It's a big thing. It needs to go to the right person. And the boys got behind it.
The boys 100% got behind it. And a couple of days later, he put a post up saying that, we found our guy. And it was a young 19-year-old bloke, just had his first kid. He has been busting his ass, and this bloke's dad has been driving him to and from work. He's got his license, but now he's got a car to get himself to and from work himself, so he can start doing his own thing, providing for his family. And one of the other boys also jumped in and threw him a $250 Ampol voucher, so he's got fuel for probably 6 months in a Swift because they are very, very economical.
Goes on an oily rag.
That's it.
So Bloke of the Week.
Bloke of the Week goes to Michael. And yeah, I don't think we can really top it from that. That's unreal. I mean, we will be topped from that.
Yeah, we'll come back. We're going to do these monthly, so we'll take a look at all the best stuff from the Blokes Advice group. Until next time, check out the website, betterblokeproject.org. That's where you're going to find all the actual events we're doing. You can check all the links to the old podcasts, find the other guests we've worked with. You can also donate to the project so we can do more events, more things like this, more resources because we can't do it alone.
And if you're not in a position to donate, get behind the socials by simply sharing. It's a free way to support what we're doing. We've already had guys reaching out saying that simply just by listening to what we're doing here or coming to one of our events, that they've got the help that they need. So I think that's pretty much it. So I will round us off with be better. Thanks for tuning into today's episode of Better Bloke. If you got anything out of it, show some love by dropping a 5-star review below.
If you want to learn more about everything we're doing, head to the description, hit the links and follow us on the socials. If you want to learn more about the project, head to betterblokeproject.org.